Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom preview stream. As always, I am joined by my good friend and co-host Jake. Jake, how are you doing on this fantastic Friday evening?
Wow, fantastic Friday evening, is it, lad? Well, I'm having a great time, thank you very much. But I like your optimism for this fantastic Friday evening.
Well,
Uh, it's a bit weird that there's no Premier League football on.
I thought we'd just have a day break, really, just
Yeah,
yeah, just quick day break. As always, do get your questions in throughout the stream, as we will try to answer as many as possible on this fantastic Friday that I've now dubbed it. If you're looking at my kind of game week 15 score, well, it's probably not a fantastic Friday, but we will get onto that. We're also going to discuss Jake's team. We're also going to discuss the best Chelsea assets to buy for game week 16 and beyond, and of course, our illustrious award for Bed Shitter of the Week. If you do enjoy the content that you see on the channel, whether that's video or live form content, do hit that subscribe button, like the stream as well, as it does push it out to more people. And like I said, get your questions in, as me and Jake will try to answer as many as we possibly can. But we're not going to muck around this evening. Jake's got places to be. He's above this stream, is what he is.
just Uber service, to be fair, lad. So if anyone in the chat needs an Uber, just comment where you need picking up from and to. 20 quid.
20 quid. 20. That seems pretty reasonable, to be honest. But yeah, so if you need an Uber driver, Jake is here. So hit him up. His number will be leaked in the chat at some point. So keep your eyes peeled for that one as well. But we are going to start off with our award for Bed Shitter of the Week. And I feel there's a lot of contenders to potentially go for this week. Jake, we're going to start off with your nomination for the Game Week 15 Bed Shitter of the Week.
Well, I've got a clear bed shitter for the fact that he was in my team. He was my captain. I think he was quite a lot of people's captains. I think the past 2 weeks, everyone has captained. The talk has been whether you go for Salah or whether you go for Haaland. The past 2 weeks, I would say maybe Salah has just slightly topped Haaland for captaincy percentage. I could be wrong there, but the games definitely seem to be more favourable for Liverpool. And both times he's let us down. I say us because I'm pretty sure you captained him both weeks as well.
Yep.
And yeah, Sheffield United, you just thought that was going to happen. I know there was that talk of a new manager bounce, and I do think they put in a decent performance, Sheffield, but still, Salah just seemed a little bit desperate to get that 200th goal. There was one fantastic save Foderingham made, but other than that, it was pretty much another kind of lackluster performance in front of goal for Salah, which is a bit of a disappointment. So for me, I think that is the clear and obvious one. But I can understand why the other man is on the screen, and I'll let you be devil's advocate then.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm just going to kind of lean on the Salah thing. He was going to be one of my nominations as well, just purely for the fact anytime a player has Sheffield United, home or away, you are probably going to captain them. And for him not to come away with at least an attacking kind of return, it's pretty disappointing. But the other man that I'm going to go for, very highly owned, it is Kieran Trippier. Was at fault for the first Everton goal as well, which kind of led to kind of a little bit of a collapse.
And the second.
Well, and the second as well, so a collapse. All kind of orchestrated from his mistakes, to be honest. Let a lot of people down who had potentially, I saw people with Trippier, I saw double defence. I even saw someone on Twitter who had triple Newcastle defence, all let down because of his individual errors. And so potentially could have picked up a yellow card as well, which would have meant he would have been suspended for this week as well. So I'm going to go with Kieran Trippier. You're going with Mohamed Salah. We're going to get that poll in the chat right now. So get your votes in for that. Bedshitter of the week for Game Week 15, Salah or Trippier. Let us know, who do you think deserves this illustrious award. So get those votes in right now. But we are going to move on. Like I said, we are in a little bit, not a rush, but we're going to get through things a little bit quicker today. There's going to be no kind of willy...
It says you've completed the poll.
Oh, I've completed the poll. Well,
it was a draw.
It was 0-0. It was 0-0. So I'm just going to put that up again. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourself.
Just talk amongst myself. Well, did you have a nice day today, Jay? Yeah, I did actually have a nice day. It's fantastic Friday after all. We have to remember that.
Right.
I think Trippier is a very good shout though. I didn't actually think of him at all, probably because he's not in my team, but my word, he let the side down without me realizing it was down to him because I of course brought Dubravka in. So no,
There we
it's
go. The poll is now up for everyone to see.
been an interesting result. This I actually couldn't put my money on either of them winning.
I think more people will potentially go for Salah, to be honest, just down to the fact that a lot of people had him captain this week. I think that's the way kind of things are going to go. But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. We will get around to your questions a little bit later on. Do keep them flooding in. We will eventually answer all of them. So flood the chat. We'll try and answer as many as we can before we finish up. But if we don't get around to any of them, I will be live tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. for the deadline stream. Again, where we try and answer as many of your guys' questions. But we are going to move on. And we are going to talk about Jake's Game Week 15 team. And Jake, a very good week again for you. It seems like you're in a little bit of a groove at the moment, to be honest. Picking up points, picking up rank. What's going off?
Yeah, it's a snail pace. That be it, like it must be said, because I think there are definitely players I could have gone for that would have benefited me more. Of course, I went for Dubravka. That paid off purely for the fact that otherwise I would have had no goalkeeper whatsoever. So that was definitely the right decision.
Yeah.
I did think that Dubravka was going to keep a clean sheet, but then I think maybe I'm underestimating Everton at the moment because I looked on the table and without their points deduction, they would have been 10th at the moment. So
Wow.
maybe they're having a slightly better season than I'm putting in my head. And of course, the Newcastle injuries will not help them and made them a little bit, just a bit dead in front of goal. It looked like it was playing out for a 0-0. And then, of course, like we've said, Trippier with a couple of silly mistakes. He just had an off day, really, didn't he? But of course, it's affected my team with Dubravka missing out on a clean sheet, and in turn left me losing my head-to-head game week in our league that we've got going on. But that's another discussion for behind closed doors. But yeah, I think it's gone all right. It definitely looked like it was going to go better on Tuesday because Tuesday night finished, and I had Hwang, I had Totti. Couldn't have been happier. I was probably
Saka as well.
Yeah, Saka as well was up there with the top lads that on the highest score at the end of the day. Other than those, of course, that have just a full team of Wolves and Luton or whatever. Those weird people that always seem to be top of the weekend when really the team before that had none of the players above him. But yeah, other than that, though, to be fair, I don't really think I had that much of a good week. I think Wolves really, really dragged me out of the mud. I think everyone else has been a bit average. Salah really did let me down. I know he had one chance, which was a fantastic save, but other than that, he's not showing the tenacity in front of goal that I'm used to. Of course, Darwin getting rotated, I was lucky to get an assist from him. He even decided to get booked, even though he was on the pitch for about 15 minutes. But yeah, overall, I'm happy, of course, because I've beaten the average, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that would have been a bit disappointed with this game week. So I've got to take the positives from it, and that is that I've jumped up the leaderboard ever so slightly, but I just need to hope that continues and maybe find someone that is going to benefit me a little bit more with a few teams having some fantastic runs in the fixture list coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I can see one team in there that is kind of a big absence from your team, but we will come on to talk about that in the team selection for Game Week 15. I think when you take a look at my team, I think you're going to feel a lot better about yourself, to be honest, mate.
I think that just goes to show, though, that this week, the past couple of weeks, really, the main hitters have not really performed as much as you'd expect. But then on top of that, I think it has gone to show that if you go for a differential with a good game week for the likes of Wolves, like we've spoken about, the likes of Fulham, who even against Liverpool showed that they can be a decent attacking outlet, and then of course proved that on Wednesday night. I think it just goes to show that if you go for those differentials, you really can benefit in the weeks where the more prestigious players may have a bit of a quiet one. But it is what it is, and like you said, you may have had a tough week, but you've got the players in, and it's just one of those days, one of those weeks, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit more like one of those seasons rather than weeks, to be honest, at the moment. Everyone getting injured and just points not really happening or clicking for me. But we move. We try and improve every single week and keep a positive mindset and hope for the best. We are going to move on to talk about your Game Week 16 team selection. You are yet to make a transfer, am I right in thinking that?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so talk us through
It'll
what you're
be
thinking.
it'll be an 11 o'clock deadline decision on your chat where I'm like, do I bring Big Willie in?
That was a shambles, to be honest. Absolute shambles.
I've actually not seen much of Big Willie in the chat, to be fair,
No,
which
no,
is
there's been a lack
probably
of
been knackered out.
a lack of Big Willie. So he's probably everyone kind of ejaculated the load on me on kind of Wednesday night. To be honest, they exhausted all their Big Willie kind of slander towards me. But yeah,
Yeah.
talk us through the team. Who's looking good? Who are you thinking of potentially taking out, and who are you looking to bring in?
Well, I was the Dubravka decision made sense because of the rotation aspect of him and Areola, and of course that seems to have been shafted now by Areola's apparent injury. Depends how long he's out for, but of course I'm just going to start Dubravka just to avoid any issues. That's just the way it is. Also, to be fair, the way that Fulham have been playing, you wouldn't be surprised if they got a goal or two at home to West Ham, who seem to be allergic to keeping a clean sheet at the moment.
Yeah.
My back three, I'm quite happy with. They've all got decent matches. Simicast should come back, considering he was completely rested against Sheffield. Pinnock against Sheffield just speaks for itself, you'd say. And then Totti at home to Forest also does the same thing because at home Wolves have been quite like consistently decent, I think is the right way to say. They've got the results that they've been expected to get. And to be fair, they've come up with a few shocks as well. So actually, maybe I'm underestimating them a little bit with the Spurs and the City wins. But even against the sides that they should be beating, I think the only times they've really dropped points have been at the away when they've been visiting those sides, arguably lower than them on paper. So against the Forest side, who really do seem to be like just completely stale at the moment, that you'd back them really. And this is exactly why I have the Wolves players in my team. And then, yeah, I think the rest of the team, it's the big hitters once again. You look at them, to be fair, and it could go one way or another. I've got double Liverpool in the attacking outlet. Salah, who knows? I've finally given up on him on captain. Just don't fancy him. It's an early game. Palace have always, in my head, been a bit of a bogey team, regardless of their form, especially at Selhurst Park. I know I've got Edouard first on my bench, but I was doing an iron about that today. I have gone for Anthony Gordon over Edouard. Maybe that's something you may have another opinion on, but I've gone for that for the time being, especially with Spurs' poor form, full stop, let alone their home form. But I do feel like they've been as well a little bit unfortunate. It's just been little mistakes or little things that have gone against them. It's not like they're being blown away, albeit that's Chelsea game where they had 9 men. So I don't know if that's really, that could go either way, that game. So I'm not too sure where to put my money between Edouard and Gordon. Saka is an interesting one. I think I'm going to keep him in because I feel like it just makes sense, but I have no idea once again how that game will go. But for other reasons, both sides are in great form. Arsenal seem to just be able to get a win from somewhere, regardless of how well they play. And Villa just seem to be blowing teams away at home. And then, of course, Darwin was on the bench, came off the bench, got an assist. I can't imagine him being benched again. I feel like he'll come back into the side. And then, yeah, my bench, I feel like that also speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Matty Cash, I feel like he might be someone I have to consider getting rid of because he's a rotation worry now. And not only is he a rotation worry, but there's that risk of him coming on for getting a point or being taken off and missing out on a potential clean sheet or more attacking returns, which is what you could really bank on with Cash earlier in the season. And then, yeah, Charlie Taylor, away at Brighton, I can't see them keeping a clean sheet there. So, yeah, that's my team. I'm happy with it. Captain in Haaland away at Luton. Feel like that's a bit of a no-brainer. The only alternative I go for would be Hwang. I know someone mentioned that in our stream last week, just before they played against Burnley. And I laughed it off, thinking that Salah was the obvious one. And I think you did too, which would make sense. But turns out that guy was speaking absolute masterclass. So I hope he went for Hwang and ignored our Salah suggestion. But yeah, it'll be between Hwang and Haaland, but I just can't see past Haaland, unfortunately.
The Willie slander has started filtering into the chat, to be honest. We'll read some of that. Just some points I wanted to raise with your team. I think I would play Areola, to be honest, mate. And hear me out here, right? So they got Fulham away. Okay, it's going to, Fulham They battered Forest, let's be real. But from the quotes that David Moyes said in his press conference, is they actually expected Areola to play last night, but he just wasn't quite fit and ready. And if he does miss out, Dubravka automatically comes in. So
very true. Very true.
Like, he's not going to get rotated, but it's all up to you. Who do you think's more likely to keep a clean sheet? West Ham are dreadful at keeping them and have been.
Yeah.
Surely there has to be a response from Tottenham. I mean, from Newcastle as well after that disappointment last night at Goodison. So,
but you'd also think on the contrary that Spurs can't lose a 5th home game in a row, surely.
Well, 0-0 is always a possibility.
Exactly. It could go one way or another. I get why you say that about Areola, but even if he was fit, there is still that debate as to who's more likely to keep a clean sheet. They may both just finish on 2 or less, so it may even be worth conversation. But it's a good debate to have. It's one where I may forget about it, but if I do forget about it because it's just the goalkeeper decision, Dubravka will play, so at least I'll get, well, I'd like to say at least I'll get a couple of points, but we'll see.
I think you've got the decision right with Anthony Gordon as well and Edouard on the bench. I think that's the right way round. You know Anthony Gordon's a big game player. You've benched him for 2 of his hauls.
That's very true, yeah. The only thing with Edouard is I know he scored against Liverpool before. They're at home. He's their only attacking outlet at the moment. And Liverpool are prone to concede a goal. That's all I was thinking about it from. But I think it makes sense to back Liverpool there, especially with Tsimikas in my team.
Yeah. You've got triple Liverpool as well. You're a Liverpool fan. You don't want Edouard in there, do you, lad?
Get him gone.
Get him gone. Who is the transfer that you're thinking of making then, mate? Who do you think you would be bringing in?
I think the sensible place to go is my defence, because I know Brentford have got a nice run. Liverpool, I'm happy with Tsimikas because of how cheap he is. He can sit on the bench if need be. And Wolves are, well, we've said this before, they are the rotation side. Their fixtures work well when others maybe don't. So I am tempted to take Matty Cash out, which would save me a little bit of money if I went for someone slightly cheaper. There are a few assets that I was looking at. I like the thought of Anthony Robinson, but then again, I feel like that could be just something that shoots me in the foot. I did see that he got subbed off after about 70 minutes, but that probably was to rotate because you can't see him being benched this game. Just to give him a rest, I think is why he got substituted. Popped up with an assist against Liverpool. He's their main attacking outlet, I'd say, from defence. So that's if I'm going to hope for a clean sheet as well. But then, of course, the obvious team to go for, which I'm sure you're going to touch on, would be a Chelsea asset. But to be honest, I think I'll be more inclined to go for a Chelsea attacker in the next couple of weeks. Maybe see this game out, this away game at Goodison Park, where Everton seem to have actually decided to play a little bit better. They seem a little bit more together than Chelsea do. So that could be another banana skin for Chelsea, who are struggling. There's no doubt about that, to find some kind of consistency. So I might see that game through just before I commit to a Chelsea player, which would allow me to go for a defender this week, potentially, and then bring in a Chelsea player next week.
Fair enough. I think I would be looking at a Chelsea player. Like, that run they've got coming up, it's absolutely ridiculous. Some of the teams that they're playing in there, Sheffield United, Luton, Crystal Palace.
Well, would you wait a week? Would you bank a transfer?
Well, I think your team is strong enough. And realistically, looking at it, who out of that starting 11 would you potentially drop? Because you feel Darwin's been rested. He should probably play at the weekend. Salah's going to play. Tsimikas again, rested, probably going to play a full game. The Wolves boys seem pretty nailed. Saka's going to be there, whether or not he's got like chemo. You know, he's there every single week. So yeah, I think I would actually bank. You know, mate. I think that's a smart move.
I think the only place that would make any sense of a hat to make a transfer would be once again a bloody goalkeeper.
Yeah, but like,
it's not worth it.
You've got a playing goalkeeper, so you know, some people might be playing with 10 this week.
I think that filters quite nicely into your team, unless you've got a little thing in between.
No, I was just going to answer some people's questions. We've had quite a few in before we move on to my absolute car crash of a team. So let's answer some people's questions. We've had quite a few in. One question says, please bench 2, Saliba, Lascelles, Gabriel Anderson, or Soufal. Who would you bench out of those 5?
So what were the? So you got Gabriel, Saliba, Anderson, and the other two.
Sufal and Lascelles. I probably would bench Lascelles
I'd
after he's hobbled off yesterday.
I'd play Kufal for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd, I'd probably bench Gabriel and Anderson.
So you'd go Saliba, Lascelles, and Sufal.
Probably, yeah. Well, no, I'll go. Yeah. Why do you think Lascelles isn't going to play?
I know he came off yesterday with a slight knock, so maybe just
Have they
wait and
got
see.
anyone back?
You what?
Have they got a centre half that can? Who came on for him? Do you remember?
I think it was Emil Kraft.
Oh bloody
Like
hell, they really are.
they're
Yeah.
really bare bones at the moment, Newcastle.
In which case, it just depends because like away at Villa, you'd be surprised to see them keep a clean sheet there when they've just shipped 3 to Luton. That's the only thing I'm wary of. But if you're playing one Arsenal defender, do you just go for it and hope that they're going to keep a clean sheet? Because then you're laughing. But I think the only one that I'm certain of is I'd play Kufal because I don't think you get much like more obvious times to play a West Ham centre half, a West Ham defender, sorry, in an away fixture. I know they may concede. He is their best attacking defender.
True.
So then, yeah, maybe from that, if you've got one Arsenal player, maybe it's worth playing them both. But you do know it's just a ticking time bomb. If Villa score one, there's 2 players that are done.
True.
What would you do?
I probably would play the double just because I don't know about Lascelles' injury and him being maybe a doubt. I've not seen Eddie Howe's press conference today. If he's all good, said he's all fine and fit, then I'd probably play Lascelles, Saliba, and Sufal as my defenders. I think that's the way to go.
I'm with you on.
Harry123 said he's on a wild card, Bowen or Son. Who would you go for?
Bowen.
All right. I think with the kind of doubts around Son and his potential fitness, I probably would say
They've
Bowen.
got Fulham, Wolves, and United at home.
Yeah, true. All right.
It's a nice run, that.
It is a nice run. All right, go Bowen. Scottish Baguette said sell Decore.
Why have you got Decore? As if he's got Decore. Someone needs to watch his. Someone needs to listen to his advice because Decore's come in for this guy at the right time. I don't know. It depends who you're thinking of bringing in. It depends on if there's a better option to get rid of. Because why on earth you've got Decore is the first question, but you've got him and he's just popped up with a goal. They're playing at home to Chelsea. He's the type of weirdo that would score if Chelsea are going to concede to Everton. I think it depends on the rest of the team, really, because just saying sell Decore would sound like maybe bring in a Cole Palmer or someone. But it depends on the rest of the team, I'd say, with that one, because, like I said, you've got Decore, who's, I assume, played in the game against Newcastle for you, and then he's got a goal. So, I mean, it'd be a bit daft to get rid of him as soon as that's happened, especially when they're, like I said, looking a little bit more together than Chelsea are. They're at home again. It's going to be a game the fans will be up for, and Decore likes Goodison Park a lot more than he likes an away game.
Yeah, true. Just reading through some more. Harry1234, he said 12 points from my captain, Captain Willie.
Well, it's a damn sight better than our captain.
Yeah. Mr. Blanky said play Johnson or Dubravka. I think I'd probably go Dubravka, to be honest.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Alex Naylor said, is it worth to take a -4 to change Gahey and Lascelles to any other players? I changed my goalkeeper as I've got Areola in net.
I mean, I don't see why not. If you've got a better... once again, I think it's one of those things where we're just seeing the players you're taking out, but it depends what you've already got in defence. If you can get away with a 3-man defence with the players you've already got, maybe taking one transfer. I would definitely consider getting rid of Gahey because of the fixture pile-up that Palace have does not look favourable to them. So I'd definitely use as a transfer to get rid of him and maybe bring someone else in. And maybe see if you can rely on some other players. Maybe wait till tomorrow as well to see on any Lascelles news, considering they've got a really short amount of players to come in for him. I think Eddie Howe's going to want him to play and would play him if he's fit enough to. So it may be something to wait on for that, but it just depends on who the other defenders are that would play if Lascelles was benched for you.
True. Final question before we move on to my team. Anton said, do you think Matthias Jensen will play against Sheffield? I've just checked Draft Town's predicted lineup tool, and it doesn't have Jensen in. So that's it. You're probably going to have
Is
to...
it Blamer out this week?
Yeah, and Buemo's out. He's out. He's out for a couple of weeks with the looks of it. But yeah, we'll answer some more of your guys' questions at the end of the stream, but we are going to plow on. And we're going to take a look at my team for Game Week 15, see how I got on. And yeah, Jake, I definitely think you're going to feel very, very fortunate, after seeing what happened with my team this week. 29 points. Pretty abysmal. Considering 4 players at the back, 4 points between them all. No goalkeeper this week, so played with 10 men. Diaby dropped and off the bench, and with Bailey putting in a quality performance, I think he's going to potentially lose his place in the starting lineup. Son hobbled off and was screaming on the bench in pain as well. Never good. Palmer, he did his bit, scored a fantastic goal, so very happy for him and his overall contribution to the team. And Buemo, he got the penalty. I thought, this is it. He's going to see out the game, pick up some bonus points. But no, he's rolled his ankle, going to be out for a few weeks. That's a real shame with Sheffield United up next. That would have been a classic, quality fixture that you want to target. The Salah captain, I feel we've already touched on as well, was disappointing. Haaland up front, he didn't really do anything, but for rank-wise, I kind of didn't want him to do anything, just down to the fact that I went with Salah captain. And then Watkins up front with 1 point. He had some opportunities in the game, and Villa did look very dominant and attacking at Villa Park, so I definitely think it does show when they do come up against these top teams at home. I don't think I should be afraid to potentially bench Watkins. He's definitely capable of getting himself on the score sheet and potentially picking up some points in those more difficult games. The bench, nothing really to write home about. Turner didn't play. Charlie 1 pointers back to his old tricks. Matty Cash with naught again. He's come out, but we'll have a look who I brought in for that. And then Archer in with Archer off the bench, not off the bench. Archer third sub for 2 points as well. I've gone down about 160,000 rank this week. A real humdinger of a week. No one really performing outside Palmer and Mbuemo. The rest of the team sucking slugs really. So yeah, Jake, any kind of words on that dismal display?
Well, there are positives I can see, and the main positive is, as much as you didn't jump into a transfer, you have got 2 transfers this week. And so that definitely helps you along the way for this week's fixtures. So I definitely think you can look to the bright side of that. I know it's a bit rough for you, but you definitely can. I think, to be fair, mate, I think the only difference between our team is the fact that I had Wolves assets. I think that's the only reason, because that was 19 points, I think, between the two of them, and I was only, 13 points ahead of you.
Yeah.
So it really did just, like I said, that Tuesday night was exceptional for me. And then after that, I think it's been a bit dead for everyone. I think unless you had the Wolves assets or some bloody rogue guys gone for Alex Iwobi, then I feel like everyone's going to be in a similar boat. Like, even though you've had a bit of a poor week, you're only 6 off the average. So I feel like everyone's in the same kind of boat. And I think the only people that have really beaten that are people that have had those little differentials. And so the fact that you've got 2 free transfers gives you a lot of food for thought as to maybe bringing in a differential or 2.
Well, you say I've got 2 transfers. I'm going to move on to my team. I've already made the 2 transfers.
Okay.
I've gone for Levi Colwell in for Matty Cash. I just think the Chelsea fixture run is phenomenal. Like, it's absolutely out of this world. There wasn't kind of any other key defenders that were screaming at me. If I wanted to go and get Ped Porro, it would mean I wouldn't be able to get Saka further down the line. I think I was like 0.2 off making that move. So that was really frustrating. So that was kind of the reason that I went for Colwell. It does now mean I do have double Chelsea defence. But I think looking at the next 5 or 6 fixtures, if they could keep at least 3 clean sheets during those periods, I think I'd be very happy. to be honest, with the double up in defence. It could gain me some rank. It means I can go get Saka when Arsenal's fixtures turn, or even potentially this week as well, because he just does seem a very reliable asset in the game. Very similar to Kane last year, where he's just picking up consistent points. Not blowing like people out the water, but just very consistent point scorer, which is sometimes what you need within your team as well, especially for dire weeks like last week. The other transfer that I made was Anthony Gordon in for Diaby. It looks like he's lost his place, so that's a little bit of a stinker. But Anthony Gordon, I've been very impressed with him. I've wanted to own him for a few weeks. He was the transfer I was thinking about making in midweek, but I wasn't sure whether or not he would potentially play, and I was a little bit concerned with him potentially having that knock on his hip. But I've gone with him now. There's some very good fixtures for Newcastle coming up after the Tottenham game. But like we've seen already this season, he can perform in top games. So I'm very happy and very comfortable to play him this game week. The other transfer that I'm thinking about making is for a -4, and that would be Brian and Mbeumo out for either Saka, Bowen, or Phil Foden. Now, I wanted to ask your opinion. Who do you think I should go for this week?
I think Bowen is the obvious one, but I understand why you'd be tempted to go for Foden. He has looked good of the past few weeks. He's always a little tricky boy, and I do think I could get behind him, like performing quite well against a side like Luton. That kind of guy that just needs to be a bit more silky and get in between the lines, because they're going to be a hard team to break down otherwise. I say that they conceded 4 to Arsenal, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think he is a good shout. Saka, I'm not too sure about. I know what you mean about him being a really good asset, because he just seems, he's consistent in the fact that he plays the 90 minutes, and he does seem to return at least an assist. I just think the Villa game's a bit of a tricky one, especially to be making a -4 risk for. And if you can get him in later down the line, then I think it might be worth taking that -4 if you feel the need to take it, getting someone in that you can bank on. And I do like Bowen at the moment. He just seems to be able to, if he plays, he just seems to be able to score, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does indeed. It's just, there's something about Foden that's just, it's tickling me a little bit. Now, I don't know whether or not that's like delirious and I've lost it a little bit, but I'm looking at the Luton fixture. I'm thinking City have now lost, is it not 1 in 4 Premier League games?
Yeah.
I feel they're going to absolutely just go into that game. Pep's going to have lost his mind at them, and they're just going to demolish Luton. All right? Then it's Crystal Palace at home. Now, Palace seem to be in a little bit of a mess. There's kind of a little bit of disconnect between Roy and the fans. I do think if they lose the next couple of games with some really tricky fixtures coming up as well for Palace, he potentially could be gone just before the January window. So I'm just looking at those two fixtures and thinking they're pretty sexy. They are pretty sexy fixtures. Then it's the blank, which does make it a little bit difficult and would require me to make a transfer, down the line. But if I was to hold Foden, it would be Everton, then Sheffield United after that as well. So again, some really, really good fixtures in there. Or at that point, I could switch to Saka in 19 or in 18 and get West Ham, Fulham, Palace, Nottingham Forest. So that's my thought. And the same applies for Bowen. I could hold him for the next 3, then switch him for the Arsenal game. It does offer itself up as an option. Just some food for thought, really.
The only thing I would say to think about is you've got all these transfers lined up which would benefit your team, which is good. But that would involve taking Mbeumo out, who of course will potentially have a double game week in a couple of weeks.
I think that's dead. I think that's dead in the water.
You reckon?
Yeah. Looking at Ben Crellin's tweets, it's not looking likely for game week 20 now. It's looking
as in
more,
like that double.
Yeah, that double's more likely to be in 21, which would be the 13th of January. I think he said 24 or 23, which is February. And then
so
maybe 26. So it's probably going to be in the new year at some point. So there's still a lot of football to kind of play. So I definitely think it is worth just to get rid of Mbeumo at this point.
Fair dues. Fair enough. Would you be tempted to play Cameron Archer?
I think I'd rather play 1 point Charlie.
But the thing is, right, They've got the new manager bounce. They weren't absolutely demolished by Liverpool. They
True.
had their chances. Archer played the full game.
He
I
did.
don't know how. Will McBurney be back? He got 2 yellows the last game. Is that just a 1 game ban?
No, it's because it's his second red as well. He's actually taken a 2 game ban.
Right. So you'd imagine Archer will play.
Yeah.
And I just feel like with Mbeumo missing, that's the tooth out of their attack, isn't it? I think if Sheffield United are going to win another game this calendar year, this is the only one they're going to have a chance in. Home to Brentford when they've got their talisman missing, their second talisman missing, should I say? Like it just seems to be like quite a tasty one. And I'm saying this with Ethan Pinnock in my side, but if, like I say, if Sheffield are going to actually come away with anything before this calendar year is done and get themselves a win, I think this is the one for it. And I do think Cameron Archer does look like he does look like a talent. And I mean, like, I know it doesn't help when he's in the Sheffield United side. And I'm not saying he's worth anything more at this moment in time, but he has come out with bursts of magic. So it is something just to consider. I'd maybe be tempted to play him because then there's the option to not even have to make that -4.
I get that. I do get that. My only concern is Brian Mbeumo's price is going to go down tonight. So it's just one of those. I don't know. You have put it in my mind, and you did this last week with Big Willie, and Big Willie.
Yeah, but you didn't even listen in the end. You didn't do it.
I didn't do it, and look what happened. He did get an assist. So
to be fair, we were saying this off air. I think you'd be more. I think William getting an assist was a little bit disappointing in a 5-0 home win against Forest. I think we would have wanted more of the whole like Andreas or Iwobi got. I think that was a little bit disappointing. He only got an assist. I thought he was going to be a little bit more of an outlet. And like you said, like there's a chance that he may not even play now with Harry Wilson coming on and getting an assist. You say?
Yeah. It seems like that kind of front four that they have kind of rotates nicely around each other. I think Bar, Iwobi, Pereira, and like Jimenez now, I'd probably say outside of those three, that other position is kind of up for grabs. And with William being a little bit older, I think he will kind of see his game time diminish over this Christmas period.
Yeah. No, fair enough. But like, yeah, if you want to avoid taking a minus, that is just an option. And I don't think it's a terribly stupid option, especially when you've got Cameron Archer just sat there on the bench. He could be a saviour.
True. I think it's definitely some food for thought that you've put in my mind. I am going to have to make the transfer tonight before Mbeumo goes down. So it is a case of either taking a -4 or playing Cameron Archer and not taking a minus.
You may even take that. The thing is, though, lad, you may have to take the minus, and then Archer has to play anyway if Son's not up for it.
True. That is a very fair point as well. That could be something to consider. Yeah.
Because I don't think you're not considering taking Son out permanently, are you?
No. I want to keep Son. Exactly. I want to keep Son.
So, like, worst case is he misses this game, which would be a bugger, but at least then you've got someone that can come in that's more of an attacker, because it is nice having more attackers than the 4 at the back. I get why you've got Charlie in there at this moment in time, but I do feel like Archer's more likely to come away with something than Taylor.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Completely agree with that. Harry says, agreeing with our point, Iwobi and Andreas, it seems like the whole system flows through them. Definitely seemed that way on Wednesday night, was it, that Fulham played? They did seem very good and very attacking going forward. Kind of the Alex Iwobi of the old when he first broke through at Arsenal at times. It was very rejuvenated performance from him. So definitely
Jimenez as well. My word, do you see a second goal?
Yeah, it was absolutely delicious. That little chop, little chop that he did. Manza said, "Are we keeping Areola or are we taking a -4 to change him?" I'm actually just going to keep him. I don't think taking another minus for a goalkeeper is going to be beneficial. Realistically, unless my goalkeeper makes a hell of a lot of saves or saves a penalty, he's only realistically going to get 6 points. So I'm only going to gain 2 from him. Whereas if he doesn't even get, the attacking, the clean sheet kind of from him, he's going to actually lose me 2 points. So I just think play with 10. I'll get another transfer next week that then I can kind of use to assess the Areola situation. From the David Moyes quotes, it does look like he could be back this week. So let's just fingers crossed and hope for that. If that's not the case, even maybe Turner might go in goal. The Greek goalkeeper, I can't think of his name off the top of my head for Forest.
Like or whatever.
There we go. He hasn't really pulled up any trees since he's kind of entered the side, to be honest. And I was looking at his data. He's conceded, I think it's 8 or 9 goals from 4 XG. So not really too good, to be honest. Conceding 5, do you get to keep your place in the side?
So that is a very good point.
So at the same time, we're looking at potentially taking a minus. We could see Turner. This is arguably could be Cooper's last game. He's got to look at the team and go, right, who's gonna perform and who's gonna keep
me?
Yeah, literally, who's with me and who's not with me. And Turner could be one of those people that he just throws back in and hopes for the best, I guess. But we'll have to wait and see. I don't think I'm going to change the goalkeeper situation. So, yeah, it is what it is.
I agree with that. I don't think it's worth it, especially when you've got players outfield that are more important to discuss.
Well, they can get the higher points, can't they? There's so much higher of a ceiling for the attacking players. Like if I take a minus and say Foden comes on or Foden plays the game and scores 3, whereas the goalkeeper just keeps a clean sheet, one's far more risky, but so like the reward is just outweighing it, isn't it, to be honest?
Completely agree.
Someone said if Son starts, is Dubravka even a good option this week? I think that's a very fair point as well. A lot of people that are potentially looking to bring in Dubravka. If you've got Son as well, you're arguably just cancelling yourself out a little bit if Son does play as well. So again, it's just not worth that minus. And I think we've kind of reiterated that point now. Yeah, nice.
It just depends on if you've got a transfer and your team's looking good and you're a bit worried about the fact that neither of your goalkeepers will play and you really want to make a transfer for a goalkeeper, there may be other places to look. And I think a decent shout is Sanchez. He played well against United as well.
Did he?
Oh, he made some really good saves.
I mean, his passing out the back was very, very questionable.
Yeah. I don't think any goalkeeper's necessarily been fantastic of late at passing.
I can't remember if I saw it where it was on Twitter, but his pass accuracy for that game was honestly abysmal, like dreadfully low. And there was a video going around on Twitter as well of them actually warming the backup goalkeeper up at half time. Like fully going through like the kind of routine that you see when goalkeepers are about to come on. So, yeah. But I think with the fixtures, I definitely think it does bode well. I get that he saved a pen, but at the same time, it wasn't a great penalty. I think if any goalkeeper goes the right way, you're getting that, to be honest. We've had a question. Who do I prefer, Powell, Gahey or Pinnock for 4.6? I'd argue with the Sheffield United fixture. Pinnock's probably the best one in there. The other two, Gahey is not a good long-term option. Really, really stinky fixtures coming up for Palace. Villa defensively do look very good, and the fixtures do take a turn after this game week as well. Brentford, then Sheffield United. So probably I'd go Pinnock, Powell.
It's a differential
Gahey.
though, Powell, isn't it? Because I think I mean I could be wrong, but the more people have Pinnock, I don't know many people that have Powell Torres, so that's not a bad shout.
I don't know many people that have Pinnock, to be fair.
You're speaking to one.
Well, I am speaking to one. I know there's someone else, but I think his ownership's still at like 5%. It's ridiculously low, so.
Fair enough. But I think Powell may not be a bad shout. I just think, of course, you got to back them keeping a clean sheet against the leaders.
True. I'm just reading a question. I have Pinnock and Vicario. Should I transfer in Dubravka or Sanchez? If not, should I start between Pickford and Vicario? To be honest, me and Jacob, I've kind of got Jake onto this kind of consensus, but I don't think unless there's like a mad injury crisis with your goalkeepers, I just don't think it's worth a transfer. If you've got a playing goalkeeper, there isn't too much upside to swap into one with better fixtures, especially if they're, all right, they make plenty of saves. And to be fair, Both of these goalkeepers you would expect to make quite a lot of saves this weekend between Vicario and Pickford. So
Yeah, Pickford's just kept the clean sheet against Newcastle, and Vicario's playing a side that have just failed to score against Everton. So there's a shout for both of those keepers to start. I'd be more than happy to have Pickford or Vicario in my team. If I had either of them for either of my keeper, I wouldn't care. I'd be playing them because who knows how that Everton Chelsea game goes. Everton are at home, so that could be. I can't imagine that being the highest scoring game. Watch me be wrong, but I really don't see that being the highest scoring game. And then Vicario at home to Newcastle, who are suffering so much from injuries. I think really you just pick the player that you don't have outfield players that are going to score against your goalkeeper if you can avoid it.
True.
But Pickford and Vicario is not a bad set of goalkeepers to already have.
True. I do get that point that you've made. The only thing that I want to say about this is Chelsea are third for XG in the league at the moment. So they are creating plenty of opportunities, scoring quite a lot of goals.
And then they've got Nicholas Jackson up top.
They do have Nicholas Jackson up top, who honestly couldn't finish in a brothel. So maybe leaning more towards Vicario. There he is. He's back. He just cut out there for a second.
Probably blessing.
Yeah, probably a blessing. Right, we're going to finish up and talk about the best Chelsea assets for this game week. I've identified 4 on screen. We've already kind of spoke about Sanchez, but he doesn't really fit into this graph as there's goals and underlying data for attacking players. So we're not going to put him in there. There are obviously other players as well that you can go for from Chelsea. I've missed out Reece James, but I think we will talk about him as well. Thiago Silva, who I have in my team, isn't on here, but I wouldn't be really recommending him to anyone. Just weirdos like me that have Thiago Silva. So the 4 players that we do have on screen are Jackson, Sterling, Colwell, and Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer has had a price increase since I made this graph, so I think he's up to 5.4 million now. So just take that in mind. But we're going to start off with Nicholas Jackson. We briefly mentioned him there, but as you can see, over the past 5 game weeks, 4 goals, 1 assist, 4.37 expected goal involvement. It's pretty good for Nicholas.
It's not bad at all, and I mean, I don't think there are absolutely loads of strikers that are screaming at the moment. I think everyone's got that Haaland, you'd imagine, everyone that's sane anyway, and then you've got the other alternatives, like you'd have Ollie Watkins probably as the second choice striker, and then I think it's a bit of a toss-up after that because players aren't reliable to be even playing, like Jesus is or Nunes, the likes of that. They're not going to play every game, whereas at least with Jackson, he seems to be playing. He just seems to struggle to finish, but really, you wouldn't be surprised if in these fixtures he's going to have a few tap-ins. So it's not a bad shout to have Nicholas Jackson here.
Yeah, I definitely think it's kind of more a short-term punt, though, with him potentially being off to AFCON as well. His kind of suspension record, not too great either. Loves to pick up a yellow card, so that is maybe something to think about. Definitely a short-term pick. Maybe if after this week you potentially want to move off Nunes, I think Jackson could offer himself as a potential little option there. I think that could be a strategy that some FPL managers do go down that route. Definitely picking up the data, but we will see how it kind of pans out for kind of his role and inclusion within the side, with Nkunku coming back as well.
Yeah, agreed. I think it makes sense there as well with Nunes because there are some tricky games coming up for Liverpool.
100%. We're going to move on and talk about the next man. It is Raheem the Dream Sterling. 2 goals, 1 assist. Okay, expected goal involvement. Only 21 points and a little bit of a steeper price than the popular pick in Cole Palmer. Do you think Sterling is justifying that price point, Jake, when Palmer is doing so well at such a bargain bottom price?
I would say not at the moment, but Sterling has that ability to just pop up with a couple of goals or a goal and an assist. He does have that in him. So I can understand why he's that expensive. But when you see the vast price difference between the two of them, it seems a bit... it just seems a bit too good to be true to go for Palmer when he's coming away with such good attacking returns of late. And of course, talking about Nkunku coming back potentially, I think, like you said about Jackson, I think Sterling's another man who is under threat of being rotated a little bit more. Whereas, like I said a couple of weeks ago, I think Cole Palmer offers something a little bit different to Jackson, Sterling, and Nkunku. I'd say the 3 of them have have a lot more of a similarity in the game. I think the most obvious one is the fact that Cole Palmer is a left-footed asset, and I feel like that's something that Chelsea don't really have. I do think that is something that you like to have in your team, just a little bit of alternative in being able to cut in or whatever you want to do. Palmer has that, so that the likes of Jackson, Sterling, and Nkunku don't necessarily have. And I think he's a lot more of a creator. As I know, he's finishing with some really nice goals of late, but he's more of a creator as well. He can sit back like Enzo Fernandez might do at times, whereas the likes of, once again, Sterling, Jackson, and Kuku, they're going to try and drive at the defence or beat the last man in defence. So I feel like those three are more likely to be rotated than Palmer is. If Palmer's rotated, I feel like the game will probably be done, or it's just not gone well for him, because if you need something different, Palmer's going to be that man, whereas Jackson, Sterling, and Nkunku, they do offer kind of a similar thing. I think you'd see maybe more rotation for them just for a fresh set of legs.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I was just chatting. I might as well
in the chat, aren't you?
I might as well say it rather than type it. Someone's asked, can they send me a team now? Send it me on tomorrow's stream. I will put a tweet out for that as always, and we will be reviewing teams in the deadline stream tomorrow. So if you want your team reviewing, put it in there. There will be a tweet going out a little bit later at FPLTom_. It will be my pinned tweet tonight. So just put it under there and I'll review them tomorrow and give you my advice. And like I said, 9 o'clock tomorrow, come along to that stream. Moving on to the next asset, it is Colwell. I've gone for him as he is the cheapest of the defensive options for Chelsea, and I think he's quite versatile in his positions. The fact that he can play both left back and centre back, I do think that offers him kind of a range of positions that he can play, and potentially means that he's not going to miss out on as many games. What do you think about Levi Colwell, Jake?
I think he's the best centre half option for you to pick if you're going to pick a Chelsea centre back, because, like you say, he's versatile, and also he doesn't get benched. He's not really seen to be rotated that much. He seems to be relied upon a lot by Pochettino, whether it be filling that left back spot or the left centre half spot. He just does seem to be there. I know you've got that he scored, but I think that was his first goal for Chelsea. So it's one of those things where really you'd be maybe banking on him keeping clean sheets more than anything. If you're going to look for an attacking return from a Chelsea defender, you maybe prefer to look at a fullback. But I feel like that's a bit of a risky subject at the moment with all the injuries that they're struggling with, and with Reece James not being someone that can be relied upon to stay fit. I do think if you're going to go for a Chelsea defender full stop, Colwell would be the answer, but it would be mostly for the fact that you can rely on him playing and hopefully keeping a clean sheet.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the reasons that I kind of went for him as well. Just that really cheap price point that he offers into a team that has arguably the best fixture, and I think we're going to see this season as well in terms of fixtures. Moving on to the final player of this stream that we're going to talk about. It is Cole Palmer. For me personally, he is the go-to Chelsea asset to own during this good fixture run. Would you agree with that statement, Jake?
Yeah, fully. I don't really have much more to add about it. I think all three of these players, and even Nkunku's not in this picture here, I think we've had to allude back to the comparison of how good Palmer seems to be on paper for how his price is, how cheap he is, and how much of an attacking return he seems to be for Chelsea, even when they're not winning games.
Yeah, definitely.
He's on the penalties as well, isn't he? When he's on the pitch,
penalties.
you'd know.
When he's on the pitch, yeah, that was frustrating a few weeks ago, but it is what it is. It is what it is, I guess, isn't it? I thought the stream was just like miles behind. Then it's because I'm not live on my laptop. It just it just flicked to this slide, and I was like, oh my god, how far is the delay behind here? We are going to kind of move on and finish up and wrap up, because Jake has got to shoot off to go and fill in at his second job as an Uber driver. So yeah, if anyone needs any lifts tonight, Jake is available. So do hit him up. But we are going to end the poll for bed shitter of the week, and I think it's a pretty clear result. It is Mohamed Salah that is going to take the vote. 55% of the vote for him, 44% for Kieran Trippier. So these polls can't do full percentages because it's going to end on 99%. But
They
yeah,
don't want to round up, do they? No one wants to round up.
nah. None of that rounding up. But congratulations to Mohamed Salah. Thank you for doing so well. For everyone who captained you this week, massively appreciated by the FPL community. So thank you for that one, mate. My final question, Jake, before we wrap up today's stream, who do you think is going to be the highest scoring game this game week?
Very, very good question. I'm going to go for Luton against City.
Oh, very
I
nice.
think I said this a few weeks ago with City full stop, and I was pretty close with it because I think it was the game where they drew 3-3 with Spurs. I also called Super Six a few weeks ago when I got them to win 6-1 against Bournemouth. So I'm fancying. I'm with you on the fact that it's about time City just put someone to the sword and absolutely demolish someone. I know Luton have been quite they've just been quite on it at home. I think the intimate fan base, the fact that it's all new for them, I think they have been up for every single game. But I think they could be completely outclassed by City on Sunday. I think it is.
Yeah, I feel they're due a good dicking, to be honest, aren't they?
They ain't been dicked for a while, have they?
Yeah,
Well, they
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
season really. The defeats have been fairly respectful.
Yeah, I think that's all going to change, especially if I bring in Foden. That's definitely going to
Yes.
change. For me,
Well, he passed his driving test, as you noticed.
he did, and there's only one way to celebrate, really. You either do a Marcus Alonso, or you go and get yourself a hat-trick at Luton away. There's no in-betweens, really.
No, not at all.
I think I'm going to go for Wolves Forest. I think Steve Cooper's got to bring it out of the bag. So I think if they're losing by like 1 or 2 goals, either heads are going to go down, and it could be 5-6, and everyone downs tools and he gets sacked, or there could be a massive revival, and then floodgates open, and then they just attack and go for it because he's got nothing to lose. I feel like that game could go either way, and it's going to be quite an entertaining game to watch, to be honest. So yeah.
My word, lad. If it finishes 6-0 to Wolves, I'll do this topless next week because I'll have points.
I'll do this topless. Like I said, I can't even get the next link out. Like I said, I will be live tomorrow at 9 o'clock on YouTube and on TikTok. So if you want to come along to the deadline stream, we do answer as many questions as possible. We also review teams as well on there. So if you do have any kind of dilemmas that you're going through, maybe some benching headaches, do get your team sent to me on Twitter at FPLTom. Leave it under my pinned tweet, and we will review those tomorrow in the stream. But yeah, thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen. Massively appreciated by me and Jake, and good luck this game week.